Hey everyone, how's it going? I decided that since Germany versus Russia was in the queue, that I would start grinding down the MiG line, because I want to get the MiG-15 bis eventually. Well, I want to get the Russian MiG-15 bis. I already have the one in the German tree. I've had it for a while, but I'd like to get the Russian one, because I can actually use that in the Korean War event if events ever come back in the way they used to have them. But I found that I've been, I guess, neglecting Russian fighters in general, and that would be because I generally don't like them very much. It's not that they're bad aircraft, I just don't find their playstyle fits well with me. They're generally fast aircraft at low altitude, very maneuverable, but their high-speed handling is quite poor, and their weapons tend to be hit or miss. They're either like railguns or they're potato launchers. So it's very random what they do, at least for me anyways. And it's not even that they're sparkling. They're registering just fine, it's just they don't always really do much damage. So I decided to take up something that wasn't Russian, but was in the Russian tree. And that is my P-63A-10, which I believe you could only get from an event maybe a year back? Something like that. I'm pretty sure you can't actually buy the aircraft as a normal premium anymore. You had to grind out a certain amount of kills with the P-63 or P-39? I don't know. I'd have to look up the event again. But, yeah, this is, I believe, the only P-63 that actually has a fair battle rating with aircraft. All of the other ones are, I believe, 4.7 and below in the American tree. And there's also the P-63A-5 in the Russian tech tree that I also have, which is at 3.7, so that can be a little bit unfair to the aircraft it faces, because you're going to be facing 109Fs, 190A1s, maybe you can even face the BF-109E3? I'm not sure. I can't remember if that got changed in the latest battle rating update. But the point is I would feel bad flying it. So the A-10 it is. Plus, the A-10 is actually a rank 4 aircraft, and you can research jets with it easier. So, you know, that makes it a lot nicer for me, since I'm actually researching the first MiG-9 at the moment. And after this session with the P-63A-10, I think I'm a little less than 100,000 RP away, which isn't bad. I should be getting it fairly soon if I keep up with my Russia grind. But anyways, back to the P-63. I remember when these things used to be... Well, I remember back when War Thunder had the 20 rank system, and these aircraft would face BF-109Es and Fs all the time. And if memory serves, the P-63A-10 could actually outturn the 109F4. It was faster than it. The climb rate was very similar, if not better than the F. And yeah, it was just seal clubbing to the max back in those days. I think I even made a video in my P-38 where I was, I guess, punishing myself for seal clubbing so much for the event to get this aircraft. But yeah, if you wanted to win back in those days, or if you wanted to just go kill crazy, you'd fly P-63A-10s in the American tree and just seal club all the Germans. It was really sad. And up at battle rating 5.3. This aircraft faces some pretty stiff competition in the form of 190Ds, 109Gs, and even Ks, and these aircraft can really give it some problems because most of them are faster. They generally don't turn as well, but they, for the most part, will outclimb the P-63, and they'll generally outperform it at higher altitudes as well. So the P-63 is sort of in an interesting position. I mean, it can definitely still perform against these fighters at this battle rating, but you have to be a little more careful, and it's not a seal clover, at least not in my opinion. So therefore I don't really feel too bad when I'm flying it, since a German pilot who knows what they're doing can usually outplay P-63A-10. At least that's what I found. I mean, at that point it comes down to skill and knowledge of the matchup. It's not just like, you know, one aircraft is objectively better than the other. And my knowledge of the matchup is not that good, actually, against most of the German aircraft, because it's been so long since I've actually flown a P-63. So part of this whole gaming session here was me just figuring out what I could get away with and what I couldn't, and just trying to perform at my best for the most part, and figuring out, you know, what works for me. Now the P-63 has an interesting weapon setup, in that it has 4 50 caliber machine guns and a 37mm cannon. Now, generally I don't actually use the 37mm cannon all that much. I mostly rely on the 4 machine guns. Now you might be wondering, you know, why rely on the weaker weapon? Well, it's because the 37mm cannon actually has a pretty poor rate of fire, and the ballistics aren't great, and it's just generally not very reliable, I found. If I'm going to use it, I mostly use it in very short range or at very long range. I just try and spam it and see if I can get an enemy to turn or something. I mean, you'll see in the video here that the majority of my kills come from using just the 50 cals, and they do good work. I mean, they're 50 cals, and they got buffed in 1.49. Well, I hesitate to say buffed for War Thunder, because I don't like the term, even a soft sim like War Thunder, but I think buff is applicable here. So what else can I talk about of this aircraft? Not much, I guess. Do I like it? It's okay. It's got better dive performance than most Russian fighters, so it's got that going for it. You know, you can't really dive away from it too well in a 109, for instance. At least not that I've found. 190s, well, 190s are 190s, they can pretty much dive away from anything, and get away with it too. But that pretty much goes without saying. But yeah, I think I like it better than most Russian fighters. So it's nice that I'm able to use it to actually grind for the things that I want. And most of the kills in this video are pretty standard here. I just, you know, get behind an enemy and light them up, and they go down and crash and go boom. But I've saved the first fight from the session for last, because I think it's fairly interesting, and I guess I'll talk through it a little bit. Alright, so in this final fight, I'm cruising a ways behind a Year 2 out over the water in the Spain map when a BF-109 K4 shoots it down. Now, you might think that we're a little high up for simulator because most of the action in this mode takes place at lower altitude, but most people don't go above 3,000 meters, but on Spain people tend to go a bit higher, which I'm fine with. I like high altitude fights, but I'm not too sure of the P-63's performance at anything above 3,000 or so meters. So, entering into a fight against a K4, which, as I'm sure most of you know pretty well, climbs like a rocket ship, and is quite fast as well. Now, I really don't want to go head-on with this guy, so I initially avoid the head-on pass as best I can, and we both turn into each other, and sort of go into this rolling scissors-esque fight. I unfortunately line up my shots pretty poorly there. I think if I had aimed better I could have just taken him out to start with, but I end up behind him quite a ways back, and below as well. So I have to climb up behind him, as well as catch him if I want to, shoot at him. And the K4 will just outrun me. It doesn't have a problem doing that. It'll outclimb me as well. So here I'm just firing the 37mm once to see if I can get the guy to turn. I'm also kind of worried about him dragging me for a teammate. So what I decide to do is climb off to the side a little bit. I don't want to climb directly behind him because then the nose of my aircraft actually obscures him. So I want to have a good view of my opponent as well as being able to actually gain some altitude here. Because I'm not going to be able to catch this guy. And if he wants to turn back now, that's great. But I figure he's just going to keep running and keep climbing. And if he gets farther away, I was thinking about going into a dive and heading back towards friendlier airspace to try and maybe get a teammate to assist me. But the 109 pretty much just keeps going in a straight line as best I can tell, which I was a little surprised by. I thought maybe he would actually just try going back to his base, because I had no idea if he was damaged or low on ammo from attacking the year or two earlier. But you always want to assume that an enemy is completely undamaged and has full ammunition. Like, if you get to the point where you have to assume that his aircraft is damaged or that he has no ammo, things aren't going well for you usually. But the 109 has extended quite a ways, and now it actually looks like he's turning back into me. And again, I really don't want to go into a head-on with this guy, because he actually has gun pods on his 109, and 109s are pretty dangerous to begin with in head-ons. Not as much as 190s maybe, but still pretty dangerous. So I fire a few shots at long range, and then I peel off and down to make myself hard to hit here. And I turn back towards him. He continues more or less in a straight line again, and I figure he's just going to make the slashing attacks at me, doing head-ons and trying to take me out that way, which, I mean, it really looked like that was his plan there, but he's going to do it one more time, and then after that he's actually going to turn in and try and dogfight with me again, it looks like. So here comes the third head-on attack. I just push the nose down. His angle is enough so that I don't feel like I need to do any special maneuvers to get out of his way. Then he turns into me, I roll over the top and turn back into him. Check my 6 to make sure I haven't gained any unwanted attention. Give him a burst that hits his central gear leg. And, once you've lost your central gear leg, you're just out of the fight. I mean, it's such an important component to your aircraft that you just can't go on without it. But the 109 dives away, and the P-63 can actually follow it pretty well. And it looks like we're both suffering from a bit of control stiffening here. I'm trying to line up the shot, and after quite a long burst, I actually score a few hits on his left wing, and he finally goes down. So I think if he had either continued his head-on attacks or tried to use the vertical against me at all, he should have been able to win that fight. But since he tried to play my game, especially at the end, it gave me the chance to get behind him and shoot him down. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I'll catch you next time. And until then, happy hunting.